Welcome to the Patriot Hour for Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. I am Michael, your host. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for giving us some time. We know it is valuable, and you are busy people working, doing the normal hustle and bustle. It's Tuesday. You got over Monday. Tomorrow's hump day. Folks, lots going on. We're going to cover a few different things here. There were some things up in the Capitol yesterday going on, some different hearings, different people coming in. Lots going on, lots of noise, people scrambling. They know it's about to come, so they're making as much noise on a certain side that doesn't make much sense. It's hard to follow. They're still talking impeachment. They're looking for anything. So we're going to jump into a few of those different scenarios. Now we know, all right, we know that the FBI sent in a lot of people to the Trump campaign, all right? A lot of the stuff in the Mueller report that they have for this guy was connected to Russia and this person was, if you look at all these 4 to 5 different people, the FBI sent them in. The FBI has actually had a lot of these people on their payroll in the past missions, past little, they were informants for years, and they kept that from the FISA courts. They would act like this guy was like, Trump Jr. talked to him, and this guy has Russia ties. And then you look into this person that they're pointing at, and they had left out like, oh, he used to work for us 5 years ago. He's on our payroll, or, he got caught lying. We can't trust him. But, we went back to him and used him for this instance, and it just doesn't add up, and they hit all that stuff. So there are going to be criminal indictments. The IG Horowitz report, which was due out already or sometime this month, is going to be on a little pushed back because they're getting new evidence, new things. And we'd rather that Horowitz, the IG report, is done right than fast and wrong, or fast and missing tons of people that need to be criminally looked at. Because that is just the facts here, folks. Just the facts. All right. Again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Again, I'm Michael. And if you're a returning Patriot, welcome back, Patriots. If you're a newbie, we welcome you. All right. Connect all your own dots. Don't ever take what we say here to be 100% fact, word, truth. You're going to connect your own dots. You're going to look and listen to everything you can. Read everything you can. Look at the whole spectrum. Chew the meat, spit out the bone, connect your own dots, use your head, your stomach, your gut, and come to the best conclusion based off tons of facts, all right? In the intelligence community, we're going to look at a lot of things. It can't all be verified, but it's good to listen and listen for key things that make sense and register and resonate with you, okay? All right, let's jump in here to, all right, let's start here with this. Sunday morning, futures with Maria Bartiromo, or whatever her name is. I can never pronounce it. Taroma. All right, we're going to listen to this about 21 minutes in with Mark Meadows.
That. Yeah. But what he's referring to is actually transcripts, I believe, of George Papadopoulos that would show that he was innocent, and yet we somehow have convicted and indicted him as being this guilty Russian collusion.
That's right. Mark Meadows, stay right there. I want to talk just about that when we come right back. Chairman, you just said a minute ago that one of the documents that Trey Gowdy perhaps was referring to was a document where George Papadopoulos, who was surveilled by the FBI, was talking with one of the intel sources, and I think it's an informant that came out him, and that was, of course, Halper in the UK.
Yeah, when we look at all of this, the fine work that actually Devin Nunes, John Ratcliffe, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, and Trey Gowdy have done on this particular issue actually will only be authenticated when we declassify some of these documents. And if indeed there are transcripts of George Papadopoulos indicating that not only was he not colluding with Russia, but that indeed he was being surveilled at the time. Here's the interesting thing, Maria. We have Mr. Clapper, John Brennan, all of them saying, well, we can't get rid of sources and methods, and they're right. We need to protect those. But at the same time, they're saying people weren't spied on. Well, you wouldn't have to protect sources and methods if indeed Trump associates weren't spied on by our government and others. And so I can think as we start to put this forward, what the American people will hopefully see is indeed a lot of bias on behalf of just a few at the FBI.
Well, especially since what we're reading in the Mueller report are names like Kilimnik, was supposed to be a Russian source. Now we find out that that was an agent of the State Department, or Halper, who has worked with the State Department and the FBI for years, or Alexander Downer, the Australian. All of these people, coincidentally not, reached out to George Papadopoulos as well as Carter Page way before the July 16th official quote-unquote start of the investigation into Donald Trump. So here's George Papadopoulos with me a couple of weeks ago when he told the firm that he was working for he wanted to go quit and work for the Trump campaign. They said, wait, before you quit, we want to send you to Rome so you could meet this individual, Joseph Misfud. And Misfud actually told him in secrecy that the Russians had Hillary Clinton emails. So the question is, was that entrapment? Was he an actual FBI source? Here's George Papadopoulos. Watch this. So he tells you Russia has emails.
So we also know when George was over in the UK that he was confronted by a, good-looking woman in a bar or whatnot and was coming on to him, trying to entice him into, whatever. But when he met with that lady the next day, there was a guy, I think this is how it goes down, and there was $10,000 somehow laying on a bed, and they shoved that towards Papadopoulos. He took it. Now, he did make a phone call back here to the States to the Trump campaign, certain people, I'm not saying Trump personally, but whoever, and they said, don't take it, don't da-da-da, or bring it. So whatever they came up with, they hid the money, they put it in, with somebody over in the UK they had connections with, buried it, whatever, and George did not fly with that. And the minute he landed back in D.C. or New York at the airport, FBI was there waiting on him and went through all his bags, rifling through, trying to find this 10 grand because, if you fly with 10 grand, it's a felony, and they would have had him. So it's like, wow, give him something over here. Hope that he gets onto a plane a couple hours later with it so you can have it all stung, a sting operation on the other side. You can only imagine the disappointment. Where's our 10 grand? Or, and George can sit there like, what are you guys looking for? No, we're looking for something. And what, your 10,000? And we want that back. Now, hopefully they got that and the numbers can be looked at and it comes right back to FBI money. Folks, when the FBI surveils, when they listen to phone calls, when they send in an informant, they typically record, all right? They're wired, or if it's a phone call, that's recorded. So we should have all this evidence that they're hoping that doesn't come out. But when you do stuff by the books, by the law, it's recorded. And all that evidence is there, all right? All that evidence is actually there. So, all right, now in a little bit of other news, we saw Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan, they shred the CNN contributor John Dean during hearings yesterday. Now, this guy is a convicted felon, a CNN contributor, a leftist all the way. He's written books for the left against Republicans time and time again, comparing everybody to Watergate, to Nixon, when the only problem relies right now with Obama, Hillary, and the last administration's abuse of surveillance, abuse of, spying on Americans and using, not just spying, because we know that happens on everybody, but actually using the information to politicize it, to use it against. 2012 was the first time Obama did it. They were kind of fumbly. They won the elections, but they had all that information on all the other candidates. Now, 2016 was just a more well-dialed in one. They were using it for Hillary to benefit her, and, it all backfired because they're just a bunch of idiots. So let's check this one out here with Matt Gaetz.
Without objection, Mr. Dean, how many American presidents have you accused of being Richard Nixon?
I actually wrote a book about Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney with the title Worse Than Watergate.
So it's sort of become a cottage. Did you make money on that book?
It was a very successful book,
How much
yes.
money did you make on it?
I'm sorry, I don't have any idea.
More than $1 million?
No.
More than $500,000?
I said I don't have any idea.
How much money do you make from CNN?
I don't really know exactly.
I think I'm going to object to the to.
Oh, there's
Wait,
Nadler. I
Wait a
object.
second. Mr.
Don't
Dean has made
badger.
a cottage industry out of accusing presidents of acting like Richard Nixon. I would like to know how much money he makes based on making these accusations and exploiting them for his own economic
You can,
benefit. And you're saying that's not a
Mr.
lot?
Gates, Mr. Gates, I appreciate you were not born at the time this all happened. It's not by choice that I've done a lot of this. It's that I've been dragged into it.
Ooh, drug into it. All right, here's some Jim Jordan.
State of mind and the perspective you bring to this hearing, and I think the American people understand. Let me ask you this then. Did you give advice to Lanny Davis or Michael Cohen prior to Mr. Cohen's testimony to Congress?
No.
Well, you said on Aaron Burnett's show the night before Mr. Cohen testified in front of the Oversight Committee that Michael Cohen should, you said you had talked to Lanny Davis and that Michael Cohen should hold his testimony as long as possible from Republicans. You didn't say that to Mr. Davis? You said it on Aaron Burnett's show the night before Mr. Cohen testified.
I didn't say it directly to Mr. Cohen was your question.
No, it wasn't. My question was, did you give advice to Lanny Davis or Michael Cohen prior to Mr. Cohen's testimony to Congress?
Yeah, I have known Lanny Davis for almost a couple decades, and we have talked about it. And I did say, as soon as you turn your testimony over, it will be picked apart.
So you instructed Michael Cohen's lawyer to keep information from Republicans to obstruct the committee work that we were doing in the Oversight Committee just a few months ago? You told that to Michael Cohen's lawyer?
I didn't quite phrase it that way, no.
You know what? They took your advice.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
They took your advice.
Did they?
Yeah.
didn't know
Mr. Cohen
that.
kept his testimony from us for as long as possible. But you know what else Mr. Cohen did that day? Lied. Lied 7 times. And this is what I think concerns so many Americans. This is what concerns, I think, so many Americans about the work that's going on in this Congress, this 116. The first announced witness of the 116th Congress is Michael Cohen, the guy who sits in prison today for lying to Congress. Today, Chairman Nadler brings in front of the Judiciary Committee a guy to talk about obstruction of justice who went to prison in 1974 for obstructing justice.
I did not go to prison.
Okay. You pled guilty to obstruction of justice. I'm glad you got to stay out of prison then, I guess.
So, that's about right. All right, so watch Matt Gaetz shred CNN contributor John Dean during the hearing. Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican out of Florida, ripped convicted felon and CNN contributor John Dean on Monday during a hearing in front of the House Judiciary Committee, suggesting that Dean has made a career and has financially benefited from accusing Republican candidates for committing crimes. All right, now this guy himself has committed crimes and obstruction. Gaetz opened up his aggressive line of questioning by noting that Dean, who was convicted of obstruction of justice during the Watergate scandal, has written books since the scandal about how incidents in Republican administrations were worse than the ones that he partook in. Mr. Dean, how many American presidents have you accused of being Richard Nixon? Gaetz asked. I actually wrote a book about Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney with the title Worse Than Watergate, Dean responded. Did you make money on that book? Gaetz responded. It was very successful. We saw all that, right? How much money? I have no idea. More than $1 million? No. More than $500,000? I told you I don't know. What's going on here? All right, that might be the end of that little they're really short articles here on the Daily Wire. Mostly the video is what they're wanting us to look at. Here we go. More than $500,000? I said I don't have any idea. How much money do you make for CNN? I don't really know exactly. Democratic Chairman Nadler then cuts off and refused to allow him to continue. Mr. Dean has made a cottage industry out of accusing presidents of acting like Richard Nixon, Gates said to Nadler. I would like to know how much money he makes based on making these accusations and exploiting them for his own economic benefit. And you're saying that's out of line? Dean was not the only contributor from the far left network to appear at the hearing. At MSNBC contributors and Obama donors, Barbara McQuaid, Joyce White Vance, and were also present and made multiple negative remarks about the president. President Donald Trump tweeted at the start of the hearing, "Can't believe they are bringing in John Dean, the disgraced Nixon White House counsel, who is a paid CNN contributor. No collusion, no obstruction. Democrats just want a do-over, which they will never get." Mark our words.
State of mind and the perspective you bring to this hearing, and I think the American people understand. Let me ask you this then.
All right, we're done on this.
Did you give advice to Lanny Davis or Michael Cohen prior to Mr. Cohen's testimony?
All right, so we'll shut this one down. We're already at our mark. I like to keep them short and sweet for you guys. Burst of information on a need to know. Again, thanks for all the support. I've gotten tons of letters. We'll go over those here in the next couple episodes. Again, the flood of JFK info. You guys have left eBay links. Some of you have taken photos and sent them. Others you guys are just giving me everything. I think one person, a lady, I don't know the name to give, but she said she had a couple episodes she'd be willing to send on loan. Awesome. And then other than that, folks, I'm going to the library later today, and I've been looking myself. So with all your help and mine, we should get some good episodes, some magazines, and to do some good episodes to cover. Again, keep pushing forward in your investigative research. Check all the links down below the description box. Make sure you share this across all social media platforms while we can. We are heavily shadow banned. Other than that, I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed, each and every one of you worldwide, and we'll see you back here real soon on the next Patriot Hour update video. You have a great mid-morning into your afternoon, and we'll see you back here real soon.